Hello and welcome to Walpole United WFC.
Good afternoon and welcome to Walpole United WFC Anti-News Odds On Show. It's that time of the week again. But I don't think I need to ask how you are, Connor, but I'm going to ask anyway. How are you?
I'm still recovering, mate. I think I'm slowly on a relaxing thing now. It's just unbelievable. I think I said to you yesterday, I don't think I've ever felt like that in a football ground before. That was something else yesterday. It's not often United are underdogs, and we were going away at Arsenal yesterday, and it was just unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree with you. Even though it was just a small section of us, unfortunately, with being midweek, people couldn't make it, so we didn't even have the main crowd that we normally get. But it was still so loud. The players knew we were there, cheering them on, singing. It was, for me, in our history, our best win, my favourite win, even out of the Championship now, because the Championship was all about getting promoted into the WSL. We had some great times, and it was the first season, but this just beats it. And it was the first time we won away at a top three side. So we know we can do it. So, but I'm like you, I'm literally... the adrenaline. It was so brilliant. But in more pressing matters, we will now discuss last weekend's results in the WSL. There was 4 games after 2 games got called off through COVID. That was Arsenal's game against Reading, and I believe Chelsea were meant to play West Ham. Or it could have been Everton. Don't quote me on that. But I'll run through the Villa City score first. That was a resounding 3-0 win for City. Tottenham was 1-1 against West Ham. Man United won convincingly 5-0 against Birmingham. And Leicester managed to pull off a great result against Brighton 1-0. Now, out of them results, which result catched your eye the most?
It's got to be the Leicester one, I think, because when Leicester lost to Reading the week before, and obviously Birmingham had pulled off that good result against Arsenal, I think you kind of thought, maybe Leicester are not going to have enough to stay up, and Birmingham would be the one that pushes on. And obviously, it's flipped back around now, because now Leicester have picked up a win, and I know we're going to go into the next weekend's results in a moment, but I just didn't expect, because Brighton were a team that a lot of people were talking about pushing for the top 3. So to lose to Leicester, I think I think I've said a few times on this show that once Leicester get a win, I feel like they'll be quite good and be quite dangerous. Obviously, they got the win against us in the Conzi, and since then they've actually looked quite strong. So I think it's just a confidence thing. Leicester are now looking like a decent-ish side. I don't expect them to be pushing for the top 6 anytime soon. But maybe they are going to start pushing and look to stay up. So I just think that just caught my eye, because I just didn't expect, because of the way Brighton had been playing earlier on in the season. They're in an awful run of form now, 4 losses in a row. I thought that they would be, as most people, everyone was talking about Brighton for the top 3, and is little old Leicester coming in bottom of the league at the time and putting one over on them. So yeah, I think that was the one. If you're talking about eye-catching games, I think that was the one that stood out to me.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. And like you said, me and John both went for a 2-1 Brighton win there, which obviously didn't happen. So we both got no points with our predictions on that game. But no, Leicester, they just got to keep the belief, haven't they? Like you said, when Birmingham beat Arsenal, it must have went 2 ways. It must have been like, well, if they can beat them, anything can happen. But then on another side, think, Birmingham have just pulled us off. Oh, if they can carry on, then we could be back in trouble, bottom of the league. So it was great character from Leicester to get that result. And Brighton, for some reason, they're on a bit of a downward spiral, like we me and John discussed last week on the show. There was 3 teams, us, United, Tottenham and Brighton, all in that mix in November. Us and Tottenham have continued, whereas Brighton haven't. They have slowly dropped down. So that, I don't know what that's to do with. I don't know. You win games is confidence. So, but Leicester will be happy with that. We'll discuss Tottenham West Ham now. It was a 1-1, as I said. I predicted a 2-0 win, which it looked good. It looked good for at times. And John went for 1-1. Now, I would have to say, great to come back from 1-0 down with 10 players. Showed great resilience from West Ham. And a fully deserved point, I would say. It was case Tottenham had their chances, but they didn't take enough of them. And West Ham got that cracking goal at the end and fully deserved the point for hanging on in. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a thing. It's weird, isn't it? Because I think when West Ham got the red card, I think everyone just thought, this is going to be business as usual now for Spurs. They'll probably get another one, and that'll be that. And but it just shows you can't hang on to a 1-goal lead. United have lost 4 points because of that. To Spurs and to Everton. So just shows this league you cannot hold a 1-goal lead anymore. That's not going to be enough. You need 2 or 3 to put past these teams. And like you said, it was a brilliant header from Longhurst at the end. I love the celebration, by the way. I thought that was just excellent, running up to the camera. That is what derbies should be. And obviously it is growing, and I think you're going to see more of that, and I hope we do, because there's nothing better than proper old-fashioned rivalries and derbies like that. So yeah, it's another hard-earned point really, because West Ham were up against it for most of that game. But it just backs up what we say a lot on these shows, that the middle of the table, I mean, Reading, Brighton, West Ham, Everton, you cannot really predict where these teams. It's becoming really hard, especially on these shows when we got to predict a scoreline to predict any kind of result, because it just doesn't seem like anyone is a walkover anymore. Nobody is just going to be, they're just going to win this weekend because they're playing so and so. No, you don't know anymore. So yeah, good fight back from West Ham. They've still got a game in hand over a lot of the teams because of different postponements and all these kinds of things. But yeah, it's fair play to him, and it helped us from a United point of view, snatching a draw at the end. I think that's the thing with Spurs, isn't it? We've said all season they don't concede a lot, but they're not scoring enough either. I think they've only scored 13 goals. I'm pretty sure West Ham have scored exactly the same, and they're 4 places below them. So if Spurs are going to push for this top 3, they are going to need to score a few more goals just to get games like that. Obviously I said about United, we've conceded late goals and drew games. They're the kind of games that can cost you Champions League. And that extra point, those 2 points dropped, it could be costly for them, towards the end of the season.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like you said with Tottenham and the goal situation, it's well highlighted that they do need a striker that knows where the net is going to bang them in, is going to score more of their chances than not. Like we have with Alessia Russo, we know she's going to get a chance, and eventually she's going to score a goal more often than not. So we're definitely at an advantage there. I think if Tottenham are going to push for top 3, then they need to get a striker in this next week. So, but overall, I think Tottenham with the situation will be a bit disappointed. West Ham would have been thrilled. So I think it's fair to say the City against Villa 3-0. We both went. I went for 4-0 and John went for 5-0. Went pretty much how we thought it would go. City are coming back strong now. They're getting players back. Lucy Bronze is back. They're scoring goals. And like we've discussed, Villa don't really score any, do they?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. And Man City had just beat Villa a few weeks ago. Prior to Christmas, 4 games ago for them in the league. Obviously, they beat them 5-0 as well. So I think if I was doing a prediction for this game, it would have been about 5 as well. So to keep it to 3 is probably respectable from a Villa point of view. But it just goes back to they've got problems. Obviously we'll talk about in more detail when we talk about this weekend up and coming results. But they're in danger of getting in trouble here because they're not scoring, but they're conceding a whole heap of goals. As for City, I think it just shows they were always going to get better as the season went on with players coming back and these kinds of things. That's 9. Yeah, if you look at aggregate in 2 games, that's 9-0. Obviously, we've scored 10 and conceded 0 in our last 2 as well. So, it's going to go to the wire really in terms of City and United. However, that game just went exactly. It goes against what we were just saying, in terms of you can't really predict this league. I think there's some games you can. City Villa. Yeah, I think City Villa is probably one of those where you can go, that's probably going to be a heavy scoreline one way, and it just didn't look anything other. City had quite a lot of chances, not actually that many shots on target. I think they just held possession very well, which is what City do, but. Yeah, it was just a routine win for them. I think they probably took the foot off the gas at 2-0.
Yeah, no. I was quite disappointed when they took the foot off the gas. I was wanting 4, obviously, but never mind. And last but not least, the mighty Manchester United. Like you said, this is probably one of these ones where we expected a big scoreline. I didn't at the time, just because of it being our first game back after Christmas, and we normally struggle after Christmas. So, and with the Arsenal game, confidence was flowing with Birmingham, but that proved wrong. Once we got the first goal, we were just, there was only going to be one winner, and I said on the review show, if I was going to have any complaints, it would probably be that we stopped at 5.
Yeah, I think because we went 3 up so early and so quick. I think it was 3 goals in about 5 minutes. I mean, the game was done then. So, first half was absolutely dominating. I think we had about 7 shots on goal, 12 in total. It was a fully dominant first half. We definitely took our foot off the gas at half time. It's difficult when you're 4-0 up because as a player, you're going to start thinking, I don't need to make that extra run. I don't need to push that as much because why would you? You're 4-0 up. I don't actually remember Birmingham having a single shot. I think I'm just looking at the stats now. I think they had 1, 0 on target.
They had 1 shot, 0 on target.
So, it was just a fully comfortable result, much better than the away game as well. And I think this shows where this United side is at the moment. It's kind of full of confidence and full of, you've got players like Leah coming back into form now. She looks unbelievable. She was brilliant against Birmingham. She was really good against Arsenal last night as well.
Yeah.
And Russo obviously getting a trademark goal as well. So it was just another good performance from United. It was solid. It's another clean sheet. It's another big, that's back-to-back 5-0 wins in the league now. So getting some of that goal difference back, which could be important come the end of the season, because you never know with how the league's going. We could finish level for 3rd, and it comes down to goal difference. So it's good to see us putting some of these teams to bed because, earlier on in the season, you're looking at your likes of Everton maybe. We expected 2-3-0 goals there. And we made hard work of it. So it's good to see us actually enjoying games for a change and just making a comfortable afternoon of it.
Although last night that last 7 minutes, I was not comfortable. But that wraps up last weekend's results in the WSL. John's on form. He, due to the Chelsea West Ham, the Tottenham West Ham game being a 1-1 draw, John won 9-4 as the guest. So after 12 rounds, it's 98 points to me, 80 to guests. But as I said, that was last week's. We will move on to this weekend's fixtures. And we will start with Man United v Spurs. It's 3rd v 4th. We've played each other 5 times. United winning 4 and Spurs getting the draw last time out. You can get odds of 4-7 for the win for United, 11-4 for the draw, and 7-2 for Spurs to win. So the experts do make United favourites. Now, 5 clean sheets in a row in all comps. Can we make it 6 in a row?
I mean, Spurs don't score, so yeah. I probably shouldn't say that, but I mean,
yeah, don't say that.
It's going to be tough. Don't get me wrong. You know, as we found from Arsenal yesterday, you know, Arsenal were always going to get chances against us yesterday, just because of the quality of their side. But we limited them to very little. I think it felt more nervous at the ground because of the scoreline, and because when you're there, it probably feels worse than it actually is. And I think when we got back and, you know, you look at the stats and things like that, you think it wasn't actually that close. You know, they only had 1 shot on target, Arsenal. So if we can do the same against Spurs in terms of limiting the crosses, limiting the shots on goal, there's no reason why we can't keep another clean sheet. It all just depend on how much mentally and physically it's taken out of the defenders from Arsenal, because they had to put a real shift in, especially the back 4. Obviously the midfielders helped out as well, but that back 4 was getting pulled all over the place all game to stop the crosses, stop the counter attack, and, you know, stop the shots as well.
That leads me to a question. Could you, obviously Honor didn't start, Kirsty Smith didn't come on. Could you potentially see Kirsty Smith and Honor being the fullbacks this weekend, giving Blundell and I think Maria a rest? Obviously, Millie and Mannion are the thorn in the side and the centre back. You don't rest one of them unless you have to, or injuries play a part, because other than Maria, you have to put a Devon or something, which would be good for the FA Cup game, I think, to give a few of the young ones a chance, blended with the experience. But like you said, it would have taken a lot out. So we have to hope we don't suffer a hangover from that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I think I wouldn't be against that, to be fair. I think Honor will come back in anyway, just because she'll be playing the league games. I think she only got rotated last night just because of being the Conti. So I'd expect Honor to come back in. And to be fair, I'm not against Kirsty Smith starting either. When she has played this season, she's been very, very solid defensively. That City game springs to mind. You know, she was brilliant in that one, and I think she deserves that chance in the league as well, to show herself again. And it will only benefit the team if we can afford to rotate and trust the fringe players, because as we know, obviously today we've been drew against Chelsea and the Conti. When we look at those run of fixtures, we've got Chelsea, Arsenal and City within 10 days. We're going to have to rotate at some point. So Skinner's going to need that belief in some of these players that he can trust them. So this is a good chance for the likes of Kirsty Smith, because if she can come in, do a solid job, then she'll probably earn herself a place against either Chelsea or Arsenal in that run of games, because we are going to have to rotate somewhere. So yeah, I wouldn't be against it, to be fair, this weekend. As I expected Honor to come back in anyway, but yeah, no, Kirsty Smith's a good shout for sticking her at fullback as well.
And you go on about the trust of Skinner. I think he definitely trusts his players, and I think even the lineup from last night proves it, because we were at the ground and was a bit sceptical about a couple of inclusions, most notably Maria at right back. and we did question whether he would go for Bagley or if he would start Mary. So he wasn't afraid to make them big decisions, but be confident in it. And we did think, why is Honor not starting? But it worked out. In Mark, you trust, don't we? So
yeah, exactly. I think that's the. It's good to, like I just said, you've got to have trust in your squad because there's going to be occasions you have to rotate. So, yeah, Maria slotting in at right back, she did okay. I think obviously it was difficult for her. It was always going to be difficult up against Mead anyway. But yeah, it just gives us options. All over the place, and that's what you want.
Definitely. And before we go on to the next game, I'll ask for a prediction.
Oh, crikey. On current form, you'd like to back United for a solid, kind of 2 or 3-0 win, but we're going to stumble somewhere. Not in terms of dropping points. I just mean we're going to concede at some point. We're not going to obviously, we might do, to be fair, but I can't see us keeping clean sheets for the rest of the season. I think this might be the game we concede. However, I don't think this is going to be the game that we drop points. I think we should have beaten them in the away game. Just one error, obviously, late on. I'm going to go with a solid 3-1 United win.
And I agree with you. 3-1 is exactly what I've gone for. I just think we'll have enough. We have enough goals in the side, and I don't think they'll be able to keep enough out with the quality we have. I just think, like you said, there's going to be a time where we do concede, and I think Tottenham will just get something like a scrappy goal or something. So it's why I went for 3-1. I just thought they're the sort of team that will get one like that, or they'll score a free kick or something. So, no, that's why I went for 3-1 and not 3-0. But we take the points over the clean sheets anyway. I know the defenders, like Millie said, they pride themselves on it. But at the end of the day, they would rather win 3-1 and not keep a clean sheet than lose or draw. So we'll take that. But we'll move on to Brighton v Chelsea. Now it's 7th v 4th. They've played each other 5 times. Brighton winning the once, a draw once, and Chelsea winning 4 times. No doubtably, Brighton are heavy underdogs. You can get them at 14-1. You can get the draw at 15-2, or you can get Chelsea at 1-14. So hot favourites. Now, Brighton are on a bit of a downward spiral. Can they stop the rot and pull off another shock over the champions? Or do you expect another win for Chelsea after the Conti Cup win midweek after a month off?
It's a tough one, isn't it? I think if you're predicting this a few weeks ago, or a few game weeks ago, I'll say, because obviously there's been postponements all over the place, you probably would have given Brighton more of a chance. But I think the bad run of form that they're on, and I think as well, Chelsea will be more motivated by the fact the door has been swung open to them by Arsenal because of that loss, obviously, to Birmingham last week. Or 2 weeks ago, sorry. So I think that's probably given Chelsea a bit more encouragement. Not that they probably needed it. Obviously, their last result, 1-0 loss to Reading, which is obviously surprising as well. But yeah, I just can't see past a Chelsea win. I know I say this all the time, on these kind of shows.
I think there's a reason why you say it, though. If I say that, this will happen.
City put 6 past this Brighton side. Leicester beat this Brighton side. I just can't see, with Chelsea having a rest, they looked decent against West Ham last night. I'd expect them to come back. Like I said, with the door swung open from Arsenal, losing to Birmingham, that's probably giving them a bit more encouragement. So,
if Brighton are going to win, what do they have to do? What would you? How do they have to go about their business? Do they do it like a Birmingham, just work so hard for the ball, counter attack, or is there another way?
Yeah, I think you have to. When you don't have the quality, you've got to work harder. That's just the ethics of football, unfortunately. But I think they could do it, Brighton. But I just can't see it on the run of form that they're on. I just can't see them pulling it off. But the longer, if Brighton can stay in the game, and I say this for a lot of teams that are kind of fighting against the big teams when these matches come around, if you can stay in the game for 70, 80 minutes, you're in with a chance. United were a prime example of that last night against Arsenal. I remember saying to John halfway through, if we can stay in this game up until 75, 70, 75, we've got a real good chance. And that's what they need. That's what Brighton needs to do. They need to frustrate Chelsea, keep the game going. Because if they concede early on, it's going to be business as usual. And Chelsea will probably score 4 and 5. But if Brighton can stay in it 0-0, really frustrate Chelsea and drag the game on, then they've got a chance. But no, I just think, prediction-wise, I just think it's going to be comfortable for Chelsea. I don't think it's going to be an absolute, smashing, but I can't look past more than a 3-0 Chelsea win for this one.
So you're going 3-0, are you?
Yeah.
And you're turning into me and John on the first couple, one of the first weeks we started doing it. I've gone for a 3-0 Chelsea as well.
People are going to think we've scripted this.
Yeah, no, just because the things you said, the quality Chelsea have, even though they played midweek, they've got players that can do the damage as well as Harder. I know Harder scored a hat-trick last night, so she'll be full of confidence even if she does start. I know Sam Kerr's away at the Asia Cup, I believe, but they got enough quality without her. And like we said, Brighton are confidence is shot now. This would be the ideal game to get that confidence back up, pull another shock win, because we know Brighton on their day can beat Chelsea. I think anyone can beat anyone on their day, but no, I agree with you. I think it'll be I don't think the rot's going to stop here. So that's why I've gone for 3-0. So we'll move on to an interesting game now. Leicester City v Villa. It's 11th v 10th. They've played each other 3 times with 1 draw and Villa winning twice. Odds of 7-4 for Leicester, 23-10 for the draw, and 6-5 for the Villa win. So the experts have Villa as slight favourites. But Aston Villa, the experts have them as favourites, but they are another team on a downward spiral. Can you see them getting that important win at the King Power Stadium? Or could you potentially see them being sucked into that relegation battle? Especially if Leicester win this game.
They're in real danger of being dragged into this because if Leicester beat them, they go 1 behind them, and Birmingham, obviously, as we'll talk about when we come to their game, have obviously got Reading. If Birmingham can rack up a win as well, Villa are only going to be a couple of points off the drop, so then they've got to be careful. So it is going to be tough for them, Villa, because Leicester are obviously on goodish form. They've won 2 out of the last 3. Obviously beat Birmingham in that important game, and obviously the result last week against Brighton. So they're going to have their kind of spirits high almost going into this. Whereas Villa, you're looking at 4 losses in a row, some heavy defeats in there. Obviously they've played us and City. That City twice, obviously once before. I think it was late November. So Villa just worry me in terms of, well, not that I don't particularly care if Villa go down or not, but I think if I was a Villa fan, I'd be a bit worried because of the lack of goals. Leicester Leicester's got the same amount of goals as them, so I think that just tells you everything you need. It's not the same as Birmingham. I'm pretty sure they've all scored 6. So you're looking at that thinking if they don't start scoring soon, you cannot win games if you're not scoring, obviously. So,
well, it's own goals
potentially. So I don't know. it's going to be really tough. I never thought we'd be sat here a few weeks ago when we were doing these shows, thinking that Villa would be dragged into this fight. Obviously, like I said, 2 wins for Leicester, and obviously a surprise win for Birmingham at Arsenal. And it's dragged them into it. And there's a couple of teams, Everton as well. They're only a point ahead of Villa. They could get dragged into this as well. But yeah, in relation to this game, you say it's at the King. Yeah, so it's at the King Power.
King Power, yeah.
I said Leicester fans fully behind the team. Got the momentum going a little bit. Seems to be clicking for them. This is a tough one to predict, because
it does surprise me a little bit that they have Villa as slight favourites.
Yeah, especially on the run of four. If you're going off, when you're looking at kind of favourites and things like that, you'd think you'd go off form, and obviously on form, Leicester are the more informed side. Leicester are actually more informed than Brighton at the moment, so it's interesting that they've got Villa as the favourites as such. It's a real. This is going to be the toughest one to predict out of the whole weekend's fixtures because
do you reckon?
I can see Villa bouncing back in some respect, but I could also see Leicester doing them over and another comfortable kind of 1 or 2-0 win for Leicester. I really don't know. I'm struggling with what to go with on this one. I think I'm going to go with I'm going to go with the home side.
Yeah,
I am going to go with a Leicester win.
Yeah,
I'm going to go with 1-0.
I'm glad you said that.
Why have you gone different? Or?
I've gone home, but I've gone for a 2-1 Leicester.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Villa are somehow going to find the net, but I think Leicester will have a couple, like you said, the home support behind them and the confidence. So,
I mean, on paper, it's...
Leicester fans, if you lose, please don't blame me because when I back Leicester, they normally let me down. It's like Brighton. Brighton let me down. That's normally. They're the 2 teams that normally let me down. So I've got confidence in you, Leicester, to beat Villa. So make sure you do it.
I mean, on paper, it just looks a boring game, doesn't it? Because neither side, you got 2 teams that don't score. So on paper, it doesn't look great. But that might give them some confidence. When you think about it, Villa are going to be really fired up for this because I'm pretty sure they'll be well aware that if they lose, and it kind of adds a bit of pressure on them, they'll be well aware that if they lose this, Leicester are going to be right on their tails. So, yeah, it's going to be it's going to be like that Leicester Birmingham game in terms of the pressure, and the kind of anxieties that come with that on the players. So, yeah, it's going to be tough for them. It's going to be tough, but yeah, I'm going to have to stick with my Leicester 1-0 win.
Yeah, no, I agree with Leicester winning. So now we'll move on to Reading v Birmingham. It literally is mid-table, the bottom currently. They've played each other 8 times. Reading winning 3 times, drawing twice, and Birmingham City winning 3 times. You can get Reading at 1-2, draw at 14-5, and Birmingham City at 9-2. So they have Reading as clear favourites. League table positioning probably suggests form because Reading are a team in form. They've won 5 wins in 6, and Birmingham are coming off a thrashing against us after a great win against Arsenal. So how can you see this one playing out? It is at Reading, and with the form Reading are on, I can only see one winner. But like we've discussed before, you just don't know, do you? We never would have had Arsenal to lose, even though it was at St Andrews. So there are shocks sometimes, but could you potentially see Birmingham getting at least a point, or are you going for form on this one?
These are getting tougher by the week. I don't like this. I think it's a good job for Birmingham to say they kick off at the same time as Leicester. So obviously, if Leicester had played first and potentially beat Villa, the pressure's then on Birmingham to respond. I think with them playing at the same time, they won't be fully aware of obviously what the results are. so they can go out there with a bit of less pressure and just try and play the game that they can play. Birmingham's a strange side because they weren't too bad against us in the first fixture when we played them right at the start of the season. Then they go and beat Arsenal a few weeks ago, which I don't think anyone. I mean, if you predicted that, then I want to meet you and you can tell me the lottery numbers because I don't think anyone would have predicted. And keep a clean sheet as well. That's extremely impressive. However, like you said, Reading are on good form, and Birmingham, like you said, got absolutely smashed by us the week later. So they're a weird side, Birmingham. I just think it's going to get to the business end of the season now where the pressure is going to be on Leicester and Birmingham to obviously pick up points from somewhere. And I think this is going to be the first time on these shows I'm actually going to predict a draw because I think Birmingham will have enough in terms of trying to get something. I just don't think they're going to be able to keep Reading out from picking up the victory. So I think with this one, I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. But I wouldn't be surprised if Reading walk over them and beat them 4 or 5 either. But I've just got a feeling. I think this is going to end up in a draw, and Birmingham obviously will be more delighted with the point. But Reading, they're a game behind everyone else. They win their game in hand. They're only 2 behind us. So, if they can string some wins together, we might need to start looking over our shoulder at Reading as well.
Yeah, because we play Reading in March, so who knows where they could be, especially with our next run of fixtures in February with the league, with Arsenal and City. So, yeah, you were totally right. But I've gone to form on my prediction, and I've gone for a 2-0 Reading win because I just feel like, Birmingham, they had that great win against Arsenal, but it's almost like they sort of burnt themselves out over it. Like, you look at them against us last week. Now, it can be a bit of both. It could be they just took so much energy out of their performance against and then playing us. But then tactical-wise and that, Mark Skinner did his homework. So it's up and down, isn't it? Sometimes you think, oh, yeah, that's going to happen and this is going to happen. But I'm going to have to side with the home side. I think with the form they're on, their confidence is super high. And I think they got the quality. They did beat Leicester a couple of weeks back. So that could have been a 2-0, but Natasha Dowie missed a penalty. So I've gone for 2-0, but you never know, do you, as football. So we'll move on to West Ham v Everton now. Now, this could be potentially a hard one to predict. It is 8th v 9th. They've played each other 5 times. 1 win for West Ham, 2 draws, 2 wins for Everton. You can get West Ham at 21-20, 9-4 for the draw, and 21-10 for Everton. So the experts have West Ham as favourites. Now, neither team are doing that great, are they, at the moment? But we have briefly discussed on their late draw against Tottenham when they were playing with 10 players for so long. So that would have given them confidence and belief going into this one, especially at home with their crowd. And Ollie Harder, he's slowly getting what he wants from the players. Like, I know maybe in 8th position, it's not exactly showing on paper, but they're working hard and they got some new signings and they have got a few injuries. So I don't know how long until like they're back, like Andrea, Leon and that. But I think they'll only get better. But this is a tough one for me to predict. But what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're just two weird sides. I mean, to be fair, West Ham haven't lost in the last four. They've just got quite a few draws in there. Obviously picked up the late one, as we've said, against Spurs, drew to Everton, and I think that their other draw was to Reading, I believe, before Christmas. So, yeah, they've only won one in the last five, West Ham. Similar to Everton, I think they've only won one in their last five, and that was to Leicester. So it's a weird game, isn't it, this? Because it's almost a game for... It's one of those typical, when you look at the league table, it's just a mid-table clash where neither team are going to be worried about relegation, I wouldn't have thought. But then again, neither team are going to be pushing the top three. So it's kind of for them that the pressure's off and they can just kind of go and play the football that they want to be able to play, because there's no pressure on either side, really. So I don't like this. I think
the hardest part of your day, was it?
It is. It's I think from looking at it from the outside, I think you'd probably stick with the home side. Obviously with West Ham in this case. Just off the back of the Spurs game, they weren't actually that great in the Spurs game. They held it. They held on really, which is commendable. But they didn't set the world alight in that game. Albeit this is going to be a different test against Everton. I just can't see Everton. Not going to lie, I can't see Everton winning the game. From what I've seen of them this season, they never look like they're actually capable of winning. I know they obviously have. They've won 3 games this season, but they just don't look capable of winning any game. So I'm going to go with a West Ham. What should I go with? I'm going to go 3-1 West Ham on this one. Because West Ham do score, a fair, decent amount of goals. I think they're on 13. But they concede as well. And Everton, albeit what I just said, I don't think they've got enough to win games. I don't think they'll draw a blank either. So yeah, 3-1 West Ham.
See, interesting. See, I've sort of gone in the middle sense. I think it'll be quite a scrappy game, and so I've predicted a 1-1 draw for this game. I just think you say West Ham score goals, but 13 goals is still not many goals, isn't it? When you consider how many games have been played, I know they're not going to score as many as the likes of us and City and Chelsea. So where they are on the table, I suppose, is what you're meaning on the sense of they get their goals. But I don't know why. I just have a niggly doubt that it's going to be a nitty-gritty draw. Sorry. So that's why I've gone for 1-1. And it's great that we have different predictions and different thoughts of how the games go, because that's what makes part of this show. So otherwise, if we all went for the same result, then it wouldn't work, would it? So no, I just think West Ham will fancy their chances, and so I'm backing a 1-1 draw. So that's West Ham Everton. We'll now move on to Man City v Arsenal. A big game for both sides for different reasons at the moment, I'd say. One is battling for the title. One wants Champions League football. Now it's currently 5th v 1st. City have won 6 games against them. They've never drawn, and Arsenal have won 6 times. It's 17-10 for the City to win, 5-2 for the draw, and 23-20 for an Arsenal win. So the experts do have Arsenal as slight favourites, but will City fancy their chances? They got home advantage. Would say they have the home crowd behind them, but you probably won't hear that. So that doesn't always work out. But with players coming back, Lucy Bronze, I'm led to believe they've got a keeper that's come back now who slightly better than their third choice or fourth choice keeper. So they'll be a bit more confident at the back. And like we've said, that they are scoring goals and not really conceding. So City will fancy their chances, I feel. What do you feel? And Arsenal, obviously, will be disappointed after midweek. Will they suffer from hangover? Could tired legs, tired heads play a part in this game?
Potentially, I think you look at Arsenal's bench, some of the players they brought. I mean, just look at the sub they made at kind of 70 minutes against us when they brought on Tobin Heath and Blackstenius at the same time. I mean, that's two players that, you're bringing those two off the bench. I mean, that just tells you everything about your squad depth. So, yeah, I think obviously as a United fan, I'd like to see Arsenal do us a favour. Because we're not challenging for the league this year. Obviously, our priority is going for top 3. So, if we want to be realistic, we need Arsenal to do us a favour here and put one over City. So at least then we've got a bit of a gap. But part of me saying, I think this City side, I think they're over their troubles. At the start of the season, as you mentioned there, Lucy Bronze is back now, and the kind of key player that she is, I stand by what I said. I still think she still can be one of the best players, around, as everyone who watches women's football knows how good she is. And, even when this City side were going through their injury troubles and they had, a kind of dodgy keeper and kind of makeshift players in defence, they were still so dangerous going forward. So when you're looking at that, I think it's going to be and I'm actually really glad this is a late kickoff, because it means I can watch it when I get home from United Spurs. So I really can't call this one, because you'd expect Arsenal to have some kind of reaction. Their last 2 games, they've lost to Birmingham and lost to us, and they haven't scored in either. So you'd expect them to thinking about it, then they haven't actually scored in 2022 yet.
Apparently, it was the first time a team hasn't conceded against Arsenal at Boreham Wood since 2016. I saw earlier.
Yeah, I read that one as well. That's what I mean. So they're going to come out fighting. You only have to see the manager's reaction. With the whole Martha Thomas thing that obviously happened during our game. He's clearly a man under pressure, and clearly a man that's really pushing to get a result. I think he knows that if Arsenal are going to go win this title, this is the kind of game that he probably need to go and win.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Now, the reverse fixture of this, I believe, wasn't it 5-0 or something like that? I think Arsenal turned it over.
It was something crazy, wasn't it? But City were in all sorts of trouble back then, weren't they, with all their injuries and losing to like Tottenham and that. So you've already mentioned it, City. They're slowly getting back to where we expect City to be.
Yeah, exactly. So I would like to see an Arsenal win. Yeah. However, I think Arsenal are on a little bit of a turbulent run. They're obviously going to have a little bit of a hangover from Wednesday, because it wasn't a fully rotated side from Arsenal. They had a lot of those players that play Wednesday night will play Sunday as well. So on that basis, I'm going to predict another draw. I don't know what scoreline though.
5-5.
I think I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw. I think the only result that I think may surprise me a little bit is an Arsenal win. I think if you had to push me for a winner, it would be City. But I just think Arsenal I just can't see Arsenal losing 3 in a row. So, yeah, I'll go for a 2-2 draw.
It's funny how we think differently, because I was debating a 2-2 draw, but I think Arsenal are going to bounce back. I've gone for a 2-1 Arsenal win. They don't want, like you said, they don't want to lose 3 in a row. They'll be hurt from getting knocked out and losing to Birmingham. But I just think we've mentioned the squad depth before. Leah Williamson didn't even start. Then you got Stina that can start potentially. And Tobin Heath could make a start. So they did rotate a few players, but they still got so much quality on the bench. So, yeah, they will have players that did play the other night, but they're professional. They've got another three days to recover, so they'll be ready for it. It will be a great battle, but I think Arsenal will come up on top personally. So that's why I've gone for 2-1. And from a United point of view, I would take either result that we predicted here because it means City dropping points. It's just vital that City do not pick up points because, especially with our February, is make or break for our season. We could be in a Conti Cup final. We could still be in the FA Cup. We could be third with a few point gap, or it could all go Pete Tong out of the Conti, get someone like Man City in the FA Cup, which wouldn't surprise me. And then, collapse in the league. So hopefully we've learned from that, and there's going to be no repeat. So, but there is 2 more games to quickly discuss briefly. There's a couple of rearranged fixtures. You've got Chelsea v West Ham and Arsenal v Brighton. Now, obviously, with it being too early, I haven't got any odds. But if I was an expert predictor, I would have to have Chelsea as favourites, Arsenal as favourites, both at home, both playing against teams that are sort of struggling for a win. So, quick thoughts on them both. How do you see them both playing out? Or do you think it will go for form, especially with them both being at home?
You'd expect so. I think it all depends.
Obviously. And Chelsea already played West Ham in the Conti, didn't they, as well? So
yeah, and Chelsea I'd expect to win comfortably, kind of 3-4-1 maybe. Arsenal, it really depends on how the City game goes, because obviously that could really dent confidence, or it could lift them back up again. So I can't really predict the Arsenal one. Just because I don't know. It really does depend on.
I'm still gonna ask for one though.
Oh yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. You didn't prepare me for this. I thought there was only one lot of lot of things. At home to Brighton. Oh God. I'm going to go off the basis of my prediction that they're going to draw to City. So I think then they'll bounce back even harder against Brighton. So I'm going to say 4-0 Arsenal.
Ooh, yeah, that's could potentially happen. I've not gone for quite so much. I've gone for 3-0 Arsenal. I just think we mention it always, don't we? The quality Arsenal have got. Brighton, yeah, they can pull off a shock, and they normally do have one shock in a season in the WSL, but I just think that their confidence must be quite low at the moment. They're just not picking up the points, the wins. So it's not great for Brighton, and I can't see where they're gonna get their win at the moment. So I can only see being one winner there. What about Chelsea v West Ham? Obviously, we had the Conti game where Harder scored a hat-trick. Are you expecting more of the same?
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't think that one really depends on any result over the weekend. I just think that will be another one, I would imagine. Like I said, we've said obviously continuous through this, that you can't really fully predict this league, but you would imagine that probably goes to form as well. Chelsea being the home side, they're pretty solid at home. You'd expect them to probably do a number on them as well. So saying that, though, I am going to go with a lesser scoreline than what I just gave the Arsenal one, and say 3-0.
Oh, you're not backing West Ham to score now?
No, I thought about it. I thought, no, I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to stick with 3 now.
Oh, fair enough. I thought for a minute we were going to have the same score because you mentioned scoring. I thought, oh, he could go for 3-1. I've gone for 3-1, pretty much the same as it was 3-1. The Conti Cup, wasn't it? I didn't even look at it because it was a blur. But I'm pretty sure it was 3-1. I didn't really check many results because I was so adrenaline rushed from last night, as we've mentioned before. But no, I agree with you. 2 home comfortable wins, which is expected. It'd be nice if they both lost, but we can't have everything. But that's the midweek games, a couple of the rescheduled ones, and Chelsea will still have another couple of rescheduled ones to play because they hadn't played for a month until last night. So Emma Hayes would be happy that they actually can play some games now. So, but that concludes the show. I believe we have Friday Fans Forum tonight, Friday night. Do you know who's on it, Connor? Are you on it?
I am hosting it.
Okay.
Yes, so it'll be me. So far, be Atanu. It will be John Commode making his debut on this channel, Namrata. And if I've missed anyone out, I really apologise. I think there is supposed to be 1 or 2 more.
Is Andy on?
Andy's not on this week, I'm afraid. No. It's his week off. So no Andy this week.
So a double dose of Connor for Friday.
Who would? Oh God! Yeah, the viewership is going down.
Nah, I'm sure it will be quite a happy, joyful fans forum this weekend. Everyone will be bouncing. It'll be interesting to hear their thoughts on that. And then Saturday, we have Matt and Ben's Saturday night show, and then Sunday is game day. So we'll have the All for United WFC on the road. And then that wraps up the week, ready for another week. But thanks for listening and watching, guys and girls. Make sure you do put your predictions in the comments box, and it's good to see what your thoughts are. And we'll see you next time.